All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with another 49er draft video. Now, this one's interesting. According to Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, the 49ers have met with Michigan State wide receiver Jayden Reed. Reed wore number one for the Spartans this year. This is one of my favorite players. I really like this player quite a bit. He's a 5'11, 187-pound wide receiver. Doesn't look physically like anything super special. Um, and then in 2022, he had 55 receptions for 636 yards in 5 touchdowns in 11 games. He battled some injuries for sure this year. He wore number one at Michigan State. He had 26 touchdowns in 4 seasons or in 3 seasons there. He started at Western Michigan. Versatile receiver. That's what I really love about him. He's versatile. He's a punt returner. He's a kick returner. You can play him at the X. You can play him at the flanker. You can play him in the slot. He's got excellent ball skills. He's a Chicago kid. Grew up in Aurora, Illinois. Hails now from Naperville, and he ran 4.45 in Indy, but he's got really good speed. If you watch him, he's got deep speed. He's got what I would call functional speed. This guy gets deep pretty much whenever he wants. 9 1/8 inch hands, good size hands, 33.5 inch vertical. Started at Western Michigan, had a big freshman season in 2018, and then transferred to Michigan State. Had a big junior year where he had over 1,000 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns, but wanted to come back because he wanted to help lead the Spartans to a Big Ten title. Now, it didn't happen, but this guy is a hell of a football player. He's got reliable hands. A lot of people compare him to like a Greg Ward type because he's so versatile. I really saw a special player. I mean, this guy got open against the Ohio State corners. Ohio State's got big physical corners. He got open against those guys. He's got a great feel for that back shoulder catch, which is, I think, very much a veteran catch. He's got a great feel for that. He was a 3-star high school recruit, so he wasn't heavily recruited. I think he only had 4 or 5 offers out of high school. But this guy can do it in a lot of different ways. He's a productive football player. He's got 3 career punt return touchdowns. Some guys are fast for the stopwatch, but they're not fast on the field. This guy's the opposite. This guy's got great quickness, and he ran 4.45, but I think he even plays faster than that. He's got great contact balance. Productive player this year in the Big Ten, second team all conference player, lit up Wisconsin in that October double overtime game where he had 9 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. 2021, they named him as the Peach Bowl MVP. So he's played in some big games. He graduated in 2021. He's got a degree in communications already. So this guy is a very polished guy, person and player. And there's a couple things that really stand out about Jayden Reed. One, he's got better speed than the stopwatch says. So he ran 4.45, which is plenty fast, but he plays faster than that. This guy gets deep. This guy gets deep a lot, and he is a fierce competitor. And if you watch him, you can see him battling on the football field. He is a fierce competitor. He's got better speed than you think. Yeah, he's more quick than fast, but he's got enough speed to get deep. And then he went to the Senior Bowl, and he was named the practice player of the week among the wide receivers. So he really stood out in Mobile. Then he had a real strong showing at the combine where I said 4.45, 33.5 inch vertical, looked really good in the position drills. So you're talking about a player who this guy is, he's physically tough, he's mentally tough, he can block, he shows a lot of effort downfield blocking. Some guys, they'll put in kind of a passing effort, just like, hey, I'm doing it, but I'm not really into it. This guy's into it. This guy's a football player. This guy plays to win. This is the kind of guy you want on your team. Big play guy, played in cold weather, hands catcher, doesn't body catch it, catches it with his hands. Probably would have been drafted higher if he had come out after his junior year. Instead, he's coming out after somewhat of a down senior year where he had some minor injuries. And because of it, I think you're looking at a guy who's probably going to be in the third round, maybe the fourth round. In that 3, 4, 5 range is where he's going to be. He'll be, you could say he's somewhat of a reach if you took him high in the third round. You could say it was somewhat of a steal if you got him in the fifth round. He's just a really good receiver. Now, as far as comps, they're saying, some of the people, Lance Zierlein for NFL.com made the Greg Ward comparison, and I can see why, because Ward is a versatile receiver who's not the biggest, and this guy's a versatile receiver who's not the biggest. So that one makes sense to me. I see a much better player than that. I see a Terry McLaurin type player. McLaurin is a little bit bigger than Jayden Reed, but as far as, this guy's going to play. This guy's going to play. He's going to make plays. He's going to make an impact. He's going to block when you need him to block. He's got excellent ball skills. He's going to come up with catches in a crowd. He's going to make plays down the field. He's going to give you, I think in some ways, like if you're the 49ers looking at Jayden Reed, what do you see? You see a player that might be the perfect complement to your receiving core. Why? Because look what you got right now. You got all the bases covered. You got Debo, who can run all the gadget plays and runs fearlessly across the middle. You have Ayuk if you don't trade Ayuk. Now, there's a lot of rumors that the Ayuk could be traded. But if you have Ayuk coming back, you got a star, outside receiver who's got no fear running across the middle. You got Jawan Jennings, who's a real chain mover, possession guy. Tay Martin, which is kind of a younger version of Jawan, great ball skills, chain mover. Then you got Ray McLeod, who's your gadget player, who's your return man, who can do a bunch of different things. Then you've got Danny Gray, who's your speed threat, who takes the top off the defense. So what would you like if you had one receiver you could add to the Niner room? What would you want? You'd want Jayden freaking Reed is what you'd want. Why? Because he can play all those spots. He could take over for Ray and be your primary punt returner or kick returner. He can play the slot receiver and make big plays in the middle of the field. And I think that's his greatest role. He could be a huge third down safety valve, chain mover type, like Juwan, like Tay Martin. He's got the ability to make plays on the football down the field, like a Brandon Ayuk. He's shown toughness after the catch, kind of like a Debo Samuel. So, the 49ers are going to be, sounds like they're looking at a number of different receivers. Are they going to trade Brandon Ayuk or not? At this point, we don't know. But Jayden Reed is the kind of player that really does stand out. His wide receiver coach is the former NFL receiver Courtney Hawkins. Hawkins just described him as special. He's special. I see a kind of a smaller version of Terry McLaurin. But this guy's going to play in the NFL, and he's going to be productive in the NFL. And if you get him on, late on day 2 or the beginning of day 3, you're going to have a player that you're going to love. Because this guy's going to play, he's going to make an impact. There's a bunch of different things he can do on your football team. He can round out any receiver room. And to me, I loved him at Michigan State because of the production. Then when I saw him at the Combine, I thought, okay, this guy's got a little bit more athleticism than I thought. It looked really natural, did well in the drills. But then when he went to Mobile and he was basically named the best wide receiver on the national team during the week, he stood out. He stood out he stood out as far as his production at Michigan State. He was their big play guy. He stood out at the Combine. He stood out at the Senior Bowl. So the Niners are looking at him. This guy's done it in big games. As I said, Peach Bowl MVP, huge game against Wisconsin. Just a tough, quick, productive wide receiver who, because he's 5'11", 185, is probably going to be, sitting there in the third or fourth round. And to me, that is an absolute steal if you can get Jayden Reed in the fourth round. Anyway, hope you enjoyed our 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Corte Madera and in Emeryville, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And make sure you keep it locked on the Krug Show throughout the draft and into training camp for all your top tier 49er coverage. And thanks for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.